Welcome to BPTV. I'm your host, Andy Amrine, and this is going to be a special Around Town show itself. And I'm thrilled to death to be here with Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Department with our wonderful chief, and we're going to talk a little bit about some special winter safety thoughts, skills, things that you really should be doing. So, Dave, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us, and thanks to you and the fire department for everything you do for the residents of Bethel Park and surrounding areas.
Not a problem. We enjoy it, and it's good to be part of the community and do everything we can to help out. So,
well, we're halfway through winter.
Yes.
Groundhog Day is fast approaching, which is, I guess, the halfway mark for the winter season. And there's some really extra effort that needs to go into fire safety for not just homes, but businesses and everything during the winter time itself. And we just had a incident in Bethel Park, and fortunately no one was hurt.
Yep.
But we lost a complete house really quickly. It was a very quick fire that spread through the house. And can you tell us a little bit about what you know at this point? I know the fire marshal's report isn't done, but it will lead to some of our discussions today.
Yeah, the resident had a hot tub in their backyard, like underneath the porch in a deck. It had frozen up. They had bought a heater to try and unfreeze it because of how cold it had been. They left the heater on all day, all night, and then overnight, and they woke up to the smoke detectors going off and getting a phone call from the alarm company saying that they had a fire alarms going off and a burglar alarm going off. And with the fire marshal's office and all looking at the videos that they had from their Ring camera and all, it looks like they had a fire start around their hot tub around 25 after 2. We got called, I think, at 2:38, and we were there at 2:43 was the first units on scene. And the whole back side of the house, all 3 floors were on fire, and shortly after that, they had a collapse in the back and all. So went up quick. They had
devastating,
no chance.
Absolutely devastating. But so starting with smoke alarms.
Yes.
The smoke alarms, it saved their lives.
Absolutely, and you hear that all the time. Smoke detectors save lives, and they most definitely do.
Yeah, and then some people just shrug it off. They shrug it off and say, okay, I have smoke alarms in my house. I don't know if they work or they don't work, but you know, they are critical to the safety of a family.
Yeah, they most definitely are. We tell you all the time, if you ever watch the council meetings, hear any of our public education stuff, test your smoke alarms once a month. And then every time we change the clock, which may or may not be going away, I'm not sure whether they're doing that yet or not, but to always change the batteries. Right. Even if you have, and I think you're going to show us here in a second,
there's
the electric ones, they still have a battery backup in case your power goes out. Your detector will still work. It's important to change them, as silly as it sounds.
But there's so many different types of smoke alarms on the market now. There are regular battery ones, there's lithium battery ones, and you know, like we're showing here, this is electric ones itself. Now, in a lithium battery one, they say those new ones, they've been out a couple years.
Yes.
These are 10-year life batteries.
Yes.
But at the end of the life of the smoke alarms, it starts telling you that the smoke alarm is bad on it. So yes, they do still have test buttons on it, but they have the 10-year batteries. Now on other ones, they have the old-fashioned batteries in it. So a lot of them you're lucky to get a year out of the batteries itself.
Yeah, a lot of them take 9-volt batteries. I don't know if any of the smoke detectors take AA.
Some of them take AA's now.
I know CO detectors, there's some of them that take AA's and stuff, but most of the smoke detectors we see use a 9-volt battery.
But how long does the smoke alarm last?
Smoke detectors normally last 7 to 10 years, we tell you. If we come in, yours is going off. Normally it warns you that it's going bad by it chirps once every 30 seconds or so.
Right.
If you have a fire and the detector's going off, it's going to go off constantly and be really annoying. To get your attention, which is what we want it to get your attention so that you pay attention. If it's chirping, more than likely the detector's going bad or the battery's going dead.
Okay, but a homeowner comes to you and says, okay, I change the battery every year.
Okay.
I push and test the button every year. And okay, but it's 15, 20 years old. Isn't that okay?
No, it's definitely not okay. Like I said, they have a lifespan of 7 to 10 years. We always tell them, go down to your friendly hardware store, your local hardware store, check with them, and they'll be more than happy to get you hooked up with a new detector.
The other question, I don't have batteries in here. This is just an electric.
Yes.
When I moved into the house, I had this electric system, security system and everything put in. Yeah, it's 20 years old or 30 years old, but why do I need to change this one?
Once again, the sensors in them, they tend to go bad after a while. There's different types of sensors in them. There's the smoke detector with the, it sees the smoke. There's the ion ones that sense the actual fire, which can drive you crazy and stuff. But they all work. Any of them, as long as they're working, like I said, can help save your life.
No. So in other words, if it's 10 years, that's the outside the longest you would ever want to keep a smoke alarm. So even if you have one that's through an alarm company and you know it's 10 years old, get on the phone to them and tell them to get their butts in your house and change them and update those units itself.
And when we go into a house, you can almost tell when they're getting old. They're turning a yellowish
they're not
tint.
white anymore,
you can tell when they're getting bad.
So that one looks 20 years old just from it.
And then we'll first thing we do is, how old are your detectors? Well, they were here since we moved in 20 years ago. All right, well.
So I mean, what I tell people when you change one, get a Sharpie and on the back there, write the date on it. So if you ever don't remember, you're just snapping it off, the plate stays on the ceiling and you have the date, and they actually show you now. They have a label right there to say installed on or replaced by. So take a look at it.
And there's normally a date on the back also of when they made them most of the time. Every once in a while you'll find ones that don't have them.
Smoke alarms are carbon monoxide detectors. Once again, there's lots of different ones. There's electric ones, there's battery ones, there's combination units itself, same life.
No, actually a CO detector, we tell you, lasts 5 to 7 years. It's obviously different sensors and stuff in it, but CO detector doesn't quite last that long. It's 5 to 7 years is what we tell you for replacement on them.
And in a house, you generally find 5, 6, 7 smoke alarms. Most bedrooms, kitchen hallways, basements, and so forth. Do you normally find as many CO detectors in a house? Do you need as many in a house?
Normally we don't. Obviously, we tell you when you install a smoke detector, we install a smoke detector for you, we put them up high because heat rises and smokes up there. Carbon monoxide is about the same weight as air, so it kind of floats. Normally, you have a problem with your furnace, your hot water tank, your stove, any of them. So it just kind of floats through the air. So it's not a problem to have them plugged in. You'll see them the plug-in type are down on the wall in the outlets and stuff. But
so even 1 or 2 in the house
we normally tell you 1 on every floor, as long as you can hear it. And the smoke detectors, it would be great if everybody had them in every bedroom and every room. We tell you at least have one in a common place. So if your bedrooms go down, in my house, you go down the hallway, all 3 bedrooms are right there. Put them, it's right outside in the hallway so that hopefully everybody can hear it. And another important thing is, when you go to bed at night, it's very important to close the bedroom door. And I know not everybody does that. My kids hate that. But close the bedroom door. If you do happen to have a fire, you'd be amazed at how much stuff that closed door that can save your life tremendously.
From the smoke.
Absolutely. So,
well, with it being, before we get into heaters, fire extinguishers.
Yes.
Would that have helped in this situation?
Probably not.
It was too extreme.
I would say we got told that when we interviewed the family, they got up with the smoke detectors and the burglar alarm. They got up, they walked out of their bedroom, and the hallway in the house was full of smoke.
Okay.
Like I said, we got the call at 2:38. We got there within 5 minutes, and all 3 floors on the back side of the house were on fire. Yeah, there was.
But fire extinguishers, they're still a good idea to have in a house.
Absolutely, yes.
Whether it's in a garage, a kitchen.
Obviously, the kitchen,
what can you
garage,
possibly tell us about fire extinguishers? Do they last 10 years?
You know what? That's a good question
Yeah.
for you.
Okay.
I know it's very important to take them. You check them. I know a lot of people buy them. They'll throw them under the kitchen sink,
Right.
and that's the last time they touch
ever
them
look at
until
'em.
they're like, "Boy, that's
Yeah.
annoying. I got to get rid
The
of that."
nice thing with most of your fire extinguishers is they have the dial on them.
Correct.
And it shows you the red, it shows you green. And when you're looking at a fire extinguisher, as long as the arrow is still in green,
Yeah.
there's really no way of testing. It's just the physically looking at the dial. And I've had fire extinguishers that were 20 years old and
say-
really weren't an issue itself as long
Yeah.
as they were inspected.
And I would tell you, yeah, you take them, turn them upside down every once in a while so
Shake
the
'em
powder
up.
doesn't get solidifying
Okay.
stuff inside. And, you know, they should last, like you said, as long as the dial's reading that it's good.
And small fires, outdoor fires, something, it's a good thing
Yes.
to really have, and it's a first line of well, the fire extinguisher or
Yeah.
the smoke alarms are going to be
Yes.
your first line of defense. And if you feel you can, but as long as you can get the family out of the house. But wintertime, heaters.
Yes.
Yes, I do sell a lot of heaters, and there's numerous kinds of heaters, from your electric type heaters, your quartz heaters, your radiant heaters. There's propane heaters, there's kerosene heaters, there's oil fired heaters, electric fans on them. There's so many different types of heaters. It's really hard to judge what's good, what's not good.
Yeah.
Starting with probably what the most common heaters are for residents, for homeowners, are going to be your different type of space heaters, whether they're the small, compact ceramic heaters that some people have under your desk, or little radiant heaters that are bigger heaters. All the heaters are 1,500 watts. That's what the government allows us to do. But what makes most heaters hard or dangerous, let's say, in a house?
As far as heaters and stuff go, our big prevention tip is, one, keep them away from anything. We tell you, give it a 3-foot space all the way around, so it's not heating up anything. Make sure the pets aren't going to get around it to knock things over and stuff. The cord, we would tell you, don't ever use an extension cord. You ought to be able to plug that directly into the wall.
outlet.
Yeah, so
'cause
there's probably a 4-foot cord on there.
Yeah,
maybe
most
5.
most heaters are going to be a 4 to 6 foot cord on it, and you don't want to go to
Yeah.
sleep at night with them on.
Yeah, never
You
leave
always
them on.
need to
We
unplug
would,
them.
Yeah, we would tell you, don't ever leave the room without turning them off. And yeah, the big thing is, don't
No
go
cords.
to bed. And I know that's hard. My wife has
Sure it
a
is.
space heater and stuff downstairs in the basement. She's got a big place to do her hair and all that kind of stuff down there, and it gets cold.
Sure.
I understand completely.
Absolutely. We
But-
live in Pittsburgh. We all have
Yeah,
basements.
it happens. It's concrete floor, and
Yeah.
that's what happens. But it's hard not to want to leave it on all the time. But make sure, you turn it off when you're not down, with it, or, before you go to bed and stuff.
And the only thing worse than extension cords are our lovely friends, your power strips.
Yeah.
So this is a power strip that the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company gave me, I'm going to say about 4 or 5 years ago. So I still take this on a few shows and show this off. And this is what happens when you have a space heater plugged into a power strip.
Yep.
And we get the electricity that's flowing from your outlet into the power strip, and you plug in the heater into it. And just like this heater, if I'm getting all my facts right, how the heater radiates the heat, and you have the coils in this heater that the electricity is causing the heat by the interference of the amps fighting the watts. That's what you have in a power strip. You have the amps fighting the watts and the volts, and plugging it in, these get super hot and they melt.
The power strips are good for a small lamp under your your desk, for your phone charger, little things like that. It's definitely not made for a space heater or anything.
So it's the same thing with extension cords.
Yeah.
This is what had happened to an extension cord using plugging a space heater in it.
Correct.
It's just the cords are fighting each other. Now this cord, if I remember the story right, this cord was in a living room. sitting on a carpet right by a drapery. So
Okay.
what's going to happen to a power strip and a heater plugged in, even though the homeowner is maybe sitting 6 feet away? Does a carpet catch fire?
Yeah.
Does a drapery catch fire?
The whole thing will warm up. The cord warms up. We would tell you that leaving the space heater on for a long time. I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I have the thing going full blast on high all the way until 11 o'clock at night. You should probably give it a break every once in a while just to cool things down. You know what I mean? Things get warm over time, and then that's exactly what happens. The carpet catches on fire, the drapes catch on fire, and people, oh yeah, I could smell something about 8 o'clock, and at 11 o'clock we're there because there's a problem.
Yeah.
So it's
big no-nos.
big no-no. And also along with the power strip, and I don't know if you guys still sell them. I know at my house I got a couple. It plugs into an outlet, and instead of having 2 outlets in the outlet, it gives me 6. Yeah,
sure.
Those are very dangerous. Also,
Why is that?
Just because it's not a cord to it, it will do that. So
if the outlet's designed for 2 plugs, you mean that's all you should have in it?
Yeah,
Not 4 and 6.
Correct.
Octopuses
and
coming
you definitely
off and
shouldn't have the
everything else
space
on it.
heater plugged into that either.
Right.
So
Right. It's just 1 plug, 1 outlet,
Yeah,
and be
it's-
done with it. So would I be safe to say number 1 reasons for fires in the wintertime is space heaters?
we have space heaters will cause problems. Chimneys, people don't get their chimney and stuff cleaned out.
And what
and
causes
burning
the
in it.
chimney? It's the creosote
The
catches
creosote
fire?
builds up, and it depends on what kind of wood you're burning and how good it is. It tends to build up, and you should
The
always
difference
get
of
it.
pine to cherry.
Yeah, you should always have get the
Season.
chimney, the flue and stuff cleaned out seasonally if you're burning a lot.
And we have a lot of great chimney cleaning companies in Bethel.
We do.
We have at least 6 that I can think of. It'd be very easy to get appointments with somebody to clean a chimney if you're going to have real fires.
And it's like I said, it's important to have somebody that knows what they're doing. I know we've had some where people, I just cleaned it out. Well, me cleaning it out and a professional company cleaning it out are 2 different stories.
Well, I had a
You're much
gentleman that
safer.
said he just got a brand new mop and he just stuck the mop down the top and stuck the mop up the bottom, and that's not enough.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not enough. Like
So
I
you
said,
miss about 20 feet of space in between.
Yes. And like I said, then we're up on your roof and it's making a mess. So
Other types of heaters, whether it's the propane heater, kerosene heaters, these are heaters that actually have open flames,
yes.
and they actually emit, because of an open flame, carbon monoxide.
Yes.
So what's an official stand for the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company about somebody having a kerosene heater in their living room, propane heater in the living room, stuff like that?
Yeah, luckily for the kerosene and the propane heaters, we don't see many of them.
Good.
This is more outside. We were talking
Type
before.
use.
It's more of a camping kind of thing that people take it for camping and stuff. Thankfully, we don't see many of these. We see most of are like the ceramic heaters.
Right.
I
And little
don't even see
tower
many of
ones
these
and
anymore, but
these old milk
some are
house
bigger.
heaters.
We see a bunch of the radiator ones that you plug in.
The
It
oil
looks like
radiator
the oil
heaters.
radiator
Yeah.
heaters and stuff, and they work. But once again, they all
They
suck
create
up a lot of
heat
energy
on the
and-
friction of the plugs
absolutely,
itself. Those
so-
oil radiator heaters, that's the one that I have in my house, in our basement. And it has to be 0 outside before I'll let my wife plug it in. But when it's plugged in, it has to be monitored.
Yeah.
It's not by itself. It's only plugged in directly
Yep.
into the outlet, nothing else in the outlet. And that's a fairly efficient type of heater itself. But
Yeah.
having an open flame heater, you have a dog runs by or getting
Yep.
up close to that kerosene heater. They're round or square, and their tail hits it, knocks it over.
Yeah,
Now you got liquid kerosene spilling on your floor, and
Yeah.
even though it has a tip over safety,
yep.
it didn't prevent
still
the
can be
kerosene from
dangerous,
spilling
yeah.
out onto the floor
At one
itself.
time, they were more popular. I don't know if you sell them or not. Haven't seen many of them in anybody's house anymore.
I actually don't even stock them or sell them at
Yeah,
the store.
it's-
If somebody really desperately wants it, I'll order it for them. But
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan. We sell a
Yeah.
lot of electric heaters,
Yep.
but sitting right next to all my electric heaters, this is right in the center of the display. And not to scare people,
Yeah.
but I just try and give them a friendly reminder
Yep.
of the big no-no on
Yeah.
heaters. Buy heater, that's fine. I understand it's cold, you need supplemental heat, but big no-no is the power strips
Yeah.
and the extension cords with the
and,
heaters
and,
itself.
and the heaters are safe. I mean, I don't want to
Oh,
scare
yeah.
anybody, but
No,
you got to use them
absolutely.
right. And if you're not going to use them right, then that's when
Be
you have a
smart.
problem. And be smart with them.
And be smart.
And I don't mind coming and meeting anybody, but I don't want to have to meet you
Not
when,
under those
when you got a
circumstances.
problem, unfortunately. So
So, I mean, okay, it's winter. It's still January outside. What else could we be explaining or talking about, or what are some of the other concerns from the fire department side of it for home safety?
a big thing is if we will preach to you if you have a fire hydrant outside your house,
Okay.
an elderly neighbor, you can't get to it. If it snows, clean out an area. We would ask you to clean out an area about 3 feet around so that we can get to any fire hydrants if we do have a problem or a fire
Okay.
up there.
Is there anything else they should be doing besides digging out around it, or is that sufficient? Just
No,
make sure
that's
it's not buried.
Yeah, there's really nothing else you can do to it to.
You don't want us to open them up and
you don't
flush
want
them?
to. Yeah, you don't want to open it up or anything like that. But as long as we can get to it and things will come off, we have ways to get the caps off and all that kind of stuff. So that's not a problem. But as long as we can get to it, luckily we haven't had any gigantic snows that
No,
it's
it's been
a
a few
super big
years.
problem. But even to clear it around, we go to hook stuff up if something drops and it's in the snow and it's 3 or 4 inches deep. Now I got somebody digging
Yeah,
for
are you
what
gonna
did I
find
just
it?
drop?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very helpful if you have somebody, you got a kid, you got a neighbor, whatever, that can help dig out around it, and that's keeping the whole block safe, so to speak.
Well, is there anything else we as a community could be doing for the fire department and everything you and all your men and women of the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company that actually do for us on a daily, weekly basis?
Yeah, it's just know that we are not paid, so and we send out donation letters. Your donation letters still pay for all the fire trucks, all the equipment and stuff we buy. The tax money that the municipality does collect pays for the buildings and
The building
whatnot.
doesn't do any good if you don't have any trucks in it?
But I gotta, and a set of turnout gear for pants and boots and a jacket and a helmet and all is right now about $8,000. So, and just like the smoke detectors, they only last 10 years. You got to replace them
Right.
on a date. So, we send the donation letters out, and I'm not a person that's always wanting to beg for money, but we do run on donations and stuff. So, when you get that letter, at least look at it for us.
And how are we doing on volunteers, actually?
We've actually
Firemen
been
and
doing real
women.
good on volunteers. We've had an influx of new people in the last year and a half.
Marvelous.
But we can always use more.
No.
It's-
How long does it take to train?
When you join the fire department, you're here 2 years on probation. There's a 188-hour class that's broken down into different modules so that you can take it. You have that 2 years to get the class and stuff done. We'll work with you to try and get you whatever you need. We'll send you to training. We'll give you a vehicle to get to and from the training. We'll give
Right.
you all the gear. Everything's provided for you from us.
But all that is funded through the donation.
But all that is
so-
funded through donations,
Right.
absolutely. So,
Right. So, well, Dave, I really appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge, share the information, and try and keep the residents of Bethel Park safe and healthy. And thank you again for your service, the service of the men and women of the fire department, and thank you for caring for the residents and the fire and everything we just had here in Bethel Park. And
no problem.
it would have been a lot worse without you and the firemen, because that would have taken out quite a few houses on the street and not just confined to the one.
Yeah, we have a lot of good people here and stuff. I know we're volunteer. I've got this community has sent me all over the United States for training. I've been to probably 7 or 8 different states, from as far west as Dallas to as far east as down in Florida, in Jacksonville. So, we are a good professional organization.
You are.
We're just not collecting a paycheck. So, you do have a lot of great men and women. We have several females that
Yep.
are firefighters here that are fantastic, and we enjoy serving the community. So
Thank you, sir.
thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. And our friends, our families with Bethel Park, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to BPTV, and I will see you around town soon.
Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company would like to remind you that your tax dollars pay for our buildings, but it's your donations that pay for all of our firefighting equipment and everything else inside. Without your support, the Brightwood Fire Station will just be an empty building. Please support Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company and donate today.